Hello everyone and welcome to the next video in the series. This is a problem solving skills video on the topic of direct proportion as it applies to money problems. And in particular we will be talking about how to work out discount and tax problems. The kinds of problems that we see in this video, there are 4 of them, are pretty much the 4 kinds that we need to know about to be able to work with any kind of percent problem, not just percent problems that apply to money. And so they are sort of like 4 key structures that we will be talking about in this video. Basically, there will be problems where we are asked to find the amount of discount, sale price, which is what you get after you subtract the amount of discount from the price, amount of tax, and grand total, which is what you get after you add the amount of tax to the price. Now these are the 4 key kinds of problems that I'm talking about, and we'll find in the next video that pretty much any kind of percent problem that we work on will fall into one of these 4 categories. It will be either similar to a problem where they ask us to find the amount of discount, or sale price, amount of tax, or grand total. Alright, so with that introduction, let's begin with problems where there is only discount. So there is no tax, only discount. And for these kinds of problems, we may either ask for the amount of discount or the sale price. So let's first take a look at amount of discount problems. Problem 1, a hat like this one, priced at $52.99, is on sale at 10% off. Calculate the amount of discount. And I think the key thing to understand here is the phrase where it says it's on sale at 10% off. Because this is a short way to say that the amount of discount is 10% of the price. This is important. So you should actually train yourselves that when you hear the phrase something is on sale at 10% off, or some similar kind of a statement, if someone says that the rate of discount is 10%, sometimes we just say 10% off. You see a sign next to the item that you want to buy, which says 10% off. And all of these mean that the amount of discount is 10% of the price. You should practice on this sentence because this gives us an equation. Amount of discount, which in this case is unknown, we represent its value by symbol A, becomes equals 10% is of course 10%, of becomes times, and the price in this case is $52.99. So now we get an equation. Now how is it that of becomes times is something that I talked about in detail in the previous video, and you should actually see that, watch that video if you haven't done so yet. The key structure when we talk about a percentage of a value and how we deal with it, how we work it out, is something that I discussed in the previous video. Alright, so of becomes times, and therefore we read this as amount of discount is 10% of the price. And an algebraic solution then follows. A is the amount of discount in dollars. And so A becomes equal to 10% of the price. Now I write this not in black because it's quite common for us to convert the percentage to a decimal and use the decimal. So usually the orange line is not written down. We usually do not write A is equal to 10% times $52.99. When we write mathematical equations, it's sort of like very common for us to convert any percentages to decimals, and of course if we need formal notation, to a fraction, and then use that notation, either a decimal or a fraction, and not the percentage. You'll find that in many science formulas, formulas in other fields like statistics and so on, that we usually use decimals and not percentage when we formulate them. Alright, so A is equal to 0.1, which is 1/10 or 10% of $52.99. And if we multiply them, we'll end up with $5.30. Now, one thing that's really nice about this approach is that it's very functional. You imagine that you walk into a store and you see a hat like this one, and the price is $52.99, and there's a sign that says 10% off. If I want to work out what the amount of discount is, then I'll open the calculator on my phone, and then I'll type the price, so $52.99, and then I multiply this by, so you hit the times button, by 10%, which is 0.1, and then equals, and so we get $5.30. All right, to get to get a bit more practice, let's take a look at problem number 2. Another hat, not this one, priced at $33.50 is on sale at 15% off. Calculate the amount of discount. Now in this case, I will convert the percentage to a decimal before I make my equation. So A is the amount of discount in dollars, and A is equal to, now 15% percentage means divide by 100. Decimal point moves back over 2 digits, and we get 0.15. So 15% of becomes multiply the price, which is $33.50. So amount of discount is 15% of the price. And again, if I wanted to work this out, let's say I'm on my feet at a store, price is $33.50, so let me make sure this is cleared. Okay, $33.50, and it's on sale at 15% off, so I multiply by 0.15, or just 0.15 in this case, and then enter or equals, and we get $5.03. So the amount of discount is $5.03. This is an approach that's quite functional. You notice that you can quickly work on the calculator what amount you're talking about, even as you talk to a friend, let's say. It's pretty easy to just enter the price and then multiply it by the percentage, which you should practice to convert percentage into decimals. Not that difficult. Again, you divide by 100, and decimal point moves back over 2 digits. So 15% becomes 0.15. So pretty easy. You just enter the price into the calculator, then multiply by 0.15, or whatever the rate of discount, and you find the amount of discount. Okay, so this is the first kind of problem that I was talking about when I said there are 4 kinds of problems. One is when someone asks us to find the amount of discount. And the next type of problem that we want to talk about is when it's sale price problems. That's when you subtract the amount of discount from the price to find out how much you have to pay. However, for solving these kinds of problems, I highly recommend a different approach, not thinking in terms of find the amount of discount and then subtract from the price. But instead of that, you should think about the applicable percentage that goes with the sale price. Reasons why this is a much better approach is something I will talk about later in the video, but for now, let's stay focused on the approach that I would like to discuss. And here we have, so the first hat, back to this one, priced at $52.99 is on sale at 10% off. So same price, same rate of discount. But this time, we want to find the sale price. Now, if you imagine that, that this circle is the price, to find the sale price, we need to find 10% of it, and then subtract that from the total to find the other side. However, another way to think about it is that if the 10% refers to the percentage that goes with the amount of discount, in the sense that you can say amount of discount is 10% of the price, then what remains, which is 90%, goes with the sale price. And therefore, we could say that sale price is 90% of the price. Let's take a look at this again. 10% tells us that amount of discount is 10% of the price. 90%, what remains, tells us that sale price is 90% of the price. And this is the kind of logic that we would like to follow. One reason that I can tell you about now is because this logic gives us the simplest kind of equation that you can set up. And later, when the unknown changes, and we set up the same equation, it will be the easiest equation to solve. Alright, so we go by the logic that sale price is 90% of the price. And therefore, what we can do now is this phrase, if something is on sale at 10% off, it should, if you're looking for the sale price, it should bring to mind that the sale price is 90% of the price. And this sentence again gives us an equation. So for sale price, we are going to use PS is becomes equals 90% of times the price, 52.99. And so an algebraic solution is PS is the sale price in dollars. You notice that the main letter is the quantity symbol. And then PS becomes equal to the sale price is equal to 90% of the price. Now you might wonder, why is it that I wrote 100% minus 10% instead of 90%? The reason is, for one thing, there has to be some explanation as to where 90 came from. And in this way we can make it clear that we have that the 90 comes from 100% minus 10%. In addition, and this is important, in a few videos ahead, when we take up the topic of linear equations, we change the unknown. Up until now, you might have noticed that in the videos that I've made up until now, the problems that we've taken up have been the kind where the unknown was isolated on the left side of the equation, as in this case. However, in the future videos, as I said, a few videos ahead, I will be talking about maybe a problem where the sale price is known and the rate of discount is unknown, so 10% becomes unknown. And in that case, of course, we have to replace 10% with a quantity symbol and then work it out. And so right now it's better to get into the habit of writing 100% minus 10%, so that if 10% becomes unknown, then we know how to set up our equation. Alright, so now if I rewrite this equation using decimals, I get PS is equal to 1 minus 0.1, so 1 is 100%, 0.1 is 10% of 52.99. And 1 minus 0.1 becomes 0.9. So now we are saying that sale price is 90% of the price. And that becomes $47.69. So the sale price is $47.69. Let's take a quick look again. From the phrase on sale at 10% off, we can make two conclusions. One is that the amount of discount is 10% of the price. The other is that sale price is 90% of the price. And in this case, because we want to find the sale price, we go with the second interpretation, that sale price is 90% of the price. And that means PS is equal to 90% of times the price, $52.99. In place of 90%, we put down 100% minus 10% to explain how we got the 90%. And on top of that, getting prepared so that later, if 10% becomes unknown, we know how to set up the equation. Okay, for practice again, the other hat, priced at $33.50, is on sale at 15% off. Calculate the sale price. So now we know what to do. We have PS, sale price in dollars, and PS becomes equal to, now I'm going to use decimals right away. So 100%, that's 1 minus 15%, which is 0.15. And we multiply this by 33.50, which is the price. And that becomes 85% of the price. So sale price is 85% of the price. Okay, sorry about that. Let's go back to the previous image here. Alright. Okay, so sale price is 85% of the price. And this comes to $28.48. So the sale price is $28.48. Again, you notice how easy it is to work this out if you're on your feet at a store and you have the phone on your calculator. And if I come across this kind of a problem, then what I'll do is I'll enter the price, which is $33.50, and then I multiply this by 85%, which is 0.85. 15%, you can easily subtract 15% in your head from 100%, and you get 85%. So if you multiply by 0.85, you are multiplying by 85%, and that gives you the sale price of $28.48, which is what we got here. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the second kind of a problem that I was talking about, when someone asks us to find sale price, the sale price, which is basically the kind of problem when a piece is cut off and we want to find out what remains. The third kind of problem that I would like to talk about is when we have tax. There is no discount now, only tax. And you'll find that finding the amount of tax is very, very similar to finding the amount of discount. And in fact, they are identical. The only difference between them is that with discount, in the end, you subtract it from the total, but with tax, you will add it to the price. With discount, you subtract it from the price, but with tax, you add it to the price. So for amount of tax, problem number 5 says that hat is priced at $52.99 and tax is added at 13%, and we want to find the amount of tax. So in this case, tax is added at 13%, or rate of tax is 13%, or any such statement means that amount of tax is 13% of the price. So again, you should train yourselves to come up to think of this sentence when you see something like tax is added at 13%. That amount of tax is 13% of the price, and we get an equation from it. A, which is the amount of tax, is equals 13%, now in decimals, 0.13, 13 hundredths of times the price, which is $52.99. So A is the amount of tax in dollars, and the amount of tax is 13% of the price, and it comes to $6.89. So the amount of tax is $6.89. By the way, if you're in Ontario, then you know why I'm using 13% in Canada, because in Ontario, Canada, in Toronto, we have a tax rate of 13% at present. If you're elsewhere, of course, you might have a different kind of a tax rate. And here's a problem where tax rate is 7%. The other hat is priced at $33.50. Tax is added at 7%. Calculate the amount of tax. And so we understand from taxes added at 7% that the amount of tax is 7% of the price. That will give us an equation. So A, amount of tax in dollars. Amount of tax is 7% of the price. 7%, you divide 7 by 100, and decimal point moves back over 2 digits. Note that you have to add a 0 here. If you do not add that 0, if you put down 0.7, then you're saying that the tax is being added at a rate of 70%. That's not a small change, so please be careful with your decimal point. And we end up with $2.35 as the amount of tax. Right, so this was the third kind of problem that I was talking about. Someone asks us to find the amount of tax. And the fourth kind of problem, again a tax only problem, but this time we want to find the grand total. So that's what you get after you add the amount of tax to the price. Problem 7, a hat is priced at $52.99. Tax is added at 13%. Calculate the grand total. Now for grand total, we can argue by saying that grand total is 113% of the price. The 100% represents the initial price, and the 13% represents the additional tax on top. So grand total T is equal to 1.13. And again, in decimal form, the 1 refers to the price itself, and the 0.13 refers to the additional tax on top, times $52.99. So T is the grand total in dollars, and the grand total is 113% of the price. And you noticed again that I didn't put down 1.13 because there is no indication as to where it came from. I am sort of explaining that you add 100% and 13% to find the grand total. 100% plus 13%, to be more accurate, refers to the percentage that applies to the grand total. Okay, work out the factors. So T is equal to the grand total is equal to 113% of $52.99, and that comes to $59.88. So the grand total is seems like the word total is missing. Let's add it on. So the grand total is $59.88. Now, once again, I would like to draw your attention to how easy it is to work this out on a calculator on your phone. So for this problem, we have $52.99 as the price, and then we multiply this by 1.13 to find out how much we will end up paying at the end with tax added on top, $59.88. Okay, problem 8, the same old other hat is priced at $33.50. Tax is added at 7%. Calculate the grand total. Now in this case, we argue that the grand total is 107% of the price. So T is equal to 100, that would be 100%, which is 1, plus 7%, which is plus 0.07 of the price, which is $33.50. And we end up with 1.07, that would be 107% of $33.50 of the price. So the grand total comes to $35.85. I would like to do this on the calculator one more time. So we enter the price, which is $33.50, and then we multiply by 1.07 to find out how much we pay in total at the end. You see how easy it is. It's like a hat trick. Okay, so let's go back to Alright, so these are the 4 kinds of problems that I wanted to talk about in this video. Now, these problems can be chained. The next 2 problems show us how these problems are chained. And this is a case when we have discount followed by tax. And in such a case, if you're trying to find the amount of discount or the sale price, of course, you can follow the steps in the problems that I followed above. But if you want to find the amount of tax, then you should know that the amount of tax is computed on the sale price, not the original price. The hat is priced at $52.99. It is on sale at 10% off. Tax is added at 13% of the sale price. This is important. Not of the original price, but the sale price. Calculate the amount of tax. Okay, so for an algebraic solution, let's say that A is the amount of tax in dollars. Now the way to set up your equation, this is pretty interesting, is to begin with the price, $52.99, and leave some space on the left side. And now we argue that if it's on sale at 10% off, that means we pay 90% of it. So we multiply the price $52.99 by 1 minus 0.1, which is 0.9. This is 100% minus 10%, which is 90%. So we are trying to find the 90% of the price. And this, the expression that you see here right now, will give me the sale price. Once I have the sale price, then I can talk about finding the amount of tax. And to find the amount of tax, we multiply this by 13%. So now we find 13% of the sale price, which is all of this. Okay, let me show you all of this in a diagram. Okay, here's what we have. So far we've constructed the price, and then we multiplied by 90% to find the sale price, and then we multiplied the sale price by 13% to find the amount of tax. You notice that I decode this multiplication backwards. And you might wonder, of course, why is it that we don't write $52.99 on the left side and go the other way in the usual way that we read from left to right? And the reason is because it doesn't read as well. So if you think about, for example, if you have, let's say you have 10% of 20. So if I put down 10% and then times 20, apologies, times 20, 10% times 20. Or if I switch this around and instead write down 20 and then times 10%. This one, the top one, reads really well. It says 10% of 20, but the bottom one doesn't. Either you have to now read it backwards and read it as 10% of 20, or say something that doesn't sound really easy to comprehend. That 20 of 10%. It's very difficult to decode. We don't normally talk like that. So 10% of 20, and this is the reason that we write the equation in this manner. And there are other reasons, by the way. Now, I don't want to make this video too long, so I won't give you the other reasons, but maybe in the future videos when we get to formulas, I'll tell you about them as well. All right, so we got this expression. Now, to make sense of this expression, as I said, you start on the right side, and factor by factor, you start to make sense of it. The first factor is the price. If I now include one more factor, now we are talking about 90% of the price. And this is, of course, the sale price. And then, to find the amount of tax, we find 13% of the sale price, which is the whole of the shaded part of the equation, which itself is 90% of the price. Right? So this is the price, include 1 minus 0.1, and now you're talking about 90% of the price, which is the sale price. And then find 13% of that. Now, let me get rid of all of this that I typed. All right. So next we have a is equal to. So this is the logic behind the equation, and then we work out the factors, and we get the amount of tax is 13% of 90% of the price, and that comes to $6.20. So the amount of tax is $6.20. Now again, this is extremely simple, exceedingly simple to work out on a calculator. Again, let's say you're on your feet, you're at a store, the item is priced at $52.99, 10% off, and you know that you have to pay 13% in taxes. So you enter the price, $52.99, then multiply by 0.9, because 10% off means you pay 90%. So times 0.9, and then you multiply this by 0.13. Now what you see here right now is the sale price, 47, and if you round it, well, 69, 47.69. And we multiply this by 0.13 to find the amount of tax, which is $6.20 after you round. So once again, enter the price, multiplied by, work out the percentage for sale price, 10% off, you pay 90%, 0.9, and then times the 13% for tax, 0.13, and we have $6.20. Okay, problem 10. The other hat is priced at $33.50. It is on sale at 15%, and I'm not quite sure why we have the backslash here. 15%. There we go. Let me see if I can fix the problem here. There we are. Okay, so the other hat is priced at $33.50. It is on sale at 15% off. Tax is added at 7% of the sale price. Calculate the amount of tax. So an algebraic solution, A is the amount of tax in dollars, and we start with the price, $33.50. Because it's 15% off, we multiply by 1 minus, it should have been 1 minus 0.15. Let's correct that. There we go. So you pay 85% of the price. And then I guess it's gonna come back, so I'm gonna change it. Let me put the whole equation down and fix it then. Okay, so this is 0.15. Okay, there we go. So you start with the price, $33.50, then multiply by 85%. 100% minus 15%. 15% is the rate of discount. And if you subtract it from 100%, then you end up with 85%, and that's the percentage that you pay. You pay 85% of the price. So this is the sale price, and then we find 13% of the sale price as the amount of tax. And so we end up with, I'm assuming that there may be a mistake here because now we have 0.93. So I'm going to correct it. So you can see actually this is not a bad time to show how easy it is to fix a problem when you use scientific notation. This is not a small issue. Like most of these videos, if I have time, I double check them. But you find out that sometimes you make a mistake, and in long step-by-step solutions, you'll usually find that you have to edit a lot, you have to change a lot to correct even a tiny mistake. Whereas here, all I have to do now is go in and change 0.93 to 0.85 and do a quick calculation. Let me see what we get if we multiply 3350, the price, times 85%, 0.85, and then times 0.13 to find the amount of tax. So $3.70, and now we can quickly correct this. $3.70. You see, very easy to fix things as well. So now let's, if you don't mind, we'll just quickly go through this solution one more time because we had some corrections. So we had the other hat is priced at $33.50. It is on sale at 15% off. Tax is added at 7% of the sale price. Calculate the amount of tax. A is the amount of tax in dollars. Start with $33.50, the price. Always you begin with the price. Then find the percentage that goes with the sale price. 15% off means you pay 85%. 100% minus 15%. So the expression that you see here from the brackets to the end is the sale price. 85% of the price. And then you find 13% of that, which comes to $3.70. Okay. So now we can correct this as well and put down $3.70. Okay, next we have again discount followed by tax, but this time we want to find the grand total. So the hat is priced at $52.99. It is on sale at 10% off. Tax is added at 13% of the sale price, and we want to find the grand total. Now this time, before I do the solution, I would like to use the calculator. So let's say that we walked into a store. We see a price of $52.99. It says 10% off, and tax, we know that it's added at 13% of the sale price. We enter the price, which is $52.99. We want to know how much we have to pay in the end. After they take off the discount and add the tax, how much do we have to pay? So enter the price. Okay, so $52.99. Then multiply by 0.9 because it's 10% off. You pay 90% of the price. And then, to find the grand total, multiply by 1.13. I will end up paying $53.89. So now an algebraic solution. T is the grand total in dollars. And we start with the price of $52.99. Then we multiply this by 90% to find the sale price. And then we multiply by 113% to find the grand total. The image on the right side makes it a bit more clear. We've got $52.99, which is the price. So we start with that piece, and then we find, we find 90% of it. So that becomes the sale price. And this is actually for the amount of tax. I think we should go ahead. There we go. So we have $52.99, which is the price, and then we include another factor. We find 90% of the price, and that gives us the sale price. And then we find 113% of the sale price, which gives us the grand total. And on the calculator, as I said, you enter $52.99, and then you multiply that by 0.9 to find 90% of it, and that gives you the sale price. Then you multiply by 1.13, which is the same as times 113%, and that gives you the grand total. So $53.89. Problem 12, hopefully there is no mistake in this one. The other hat is priced at $33.50. It is on sale at 15% off. Taxes added at 7% of the sale price. Calculate the grand total. Now, even if there is a mistake, we're going to fix it. Let's quickly display the equation and see. No, this one seems to be correct. Okay, so we start with 33.50, and then we find 85% of it to find the sale price. That's 100% minus 15%. So we have 85% of the price. That's the sale price. And then we multiply this by 1 plus 0.07, which is 107%. And that gives us the grand total. So 1.07, that's 107%, times, now you see it reverted back. And we are going to fix this again before we end the video. Alright, so this should be 0.15. Alright, so now we have 85% of the price, and this should be 0.85. So we have 85% of the price, and let's do a quick check and see if we got the right answer for this. Okay, price 33.50, multiply by 85%, that's 0.85. Then multiply by 1.07, which is 107%. So $30.47. And we fixed it. Alright, so $30.47. Alright everyone, I believe that's the end of this video. Yes, it is. And thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you liked the hat as well. And I'll see you next on the video where I talk about general percent profit.